Welcome back, everybody. In this video, we're going to go ahead and see how to use StatCrunch for completing a lot of our online assignments. All right, now let's go ahead and start by considering question 15. So pretend that this is just any question that you're going to come across in your homework. And they are asking you to define some kind of statistical quantity from this data. Now, notice that the data here is given to me, and there really isn't anywhere for me to click to open this data or copy it in any way. So this video is going to show us how to process the data so that we can work with it. So all they want is the 5-number summary, and it's not very difficult to do, especially because this data is already ordered. We can probably do it with by hand, but we're not really going to do anything by hand in this class. So let's go ahead and highlight the relevant data, and let's press copy. So I'm just pressing Control-C. And then I'm going to StatCrunch, and I'm going to the very first cell, and I'm going to paste it in there. So Control-V. And we can see that we more or less have the data now spread throughout 2 columns, in var1 and in var2. In reality, this is all a single data set. So we want to go ahead and write this in a single column. Do not type this out. We're going to use StatCrunch for this. So go to Data, and then go to where it says Arrange. So arrange just basically says you want to do something to it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stack the data. So whenever you have multiple columns like this, I'm going to go to Arrange and then select Stack. Select the columns of interest. And again, my data is spread through our var1 and var2. And that's pretty much it. Go ahead and press Compute. And we can see that now my data is present over var3 and var4. Now, StatCrunch does keep track of where that data came from. So this tells you that this came from var1, and that was up to 69, starting with 7. And now var4 is basically our data set. So our data set, the one that we really want to work with, it is 7, 27, 32, 54, and so on. So given this data, if I was trying to process it, I can now go to Stats, Summary Stats, Columns, and go ahead and select the appropriate column, which in our case is var4. So if I press Compute, notice how it's considering all 12 values, because there were 12 values in here. And I've got the relevant statistics. So if I wanted to use this for other purposes, I would still simply go ahead and say, hey, we're using the data in var4. So that's for that example. Let's go ahead and take a look at a different one. Now, let's go ahead and say that this is the way the data is produced for a different question. So we have the number of hours worked, and we have the volunteer who worked those hours. Let's go ahead and copy paste this. So let's select this. And oh, I should mention this. Pretend that you don't want it to look like this. You go back to Options, and you're always going to have this little option down here where it says Open whatever process you complete on this data in a new data table. So if you press that, it'll basically load a new spreadsheet where you just simply have the process data. So this could help in organizing and keeping track of your work. If you want to save this for later, you can just press Control-S. And then it says, what's the file name? So we can title this maybe Homework 2 Data Problem, whatever problem it was, probably 15. I go ahead and press Save. Saves the data so that if I navigate away, let's pretend I go away, this is now loaded in my data. So we can go ahead and see that it says My Data right here. And I can simply click on that. And it keeps the data in here for me. So I recommend that if you do homework and there's a lot of data and it took you a while to process it, just simply save it in StatCrunch. That way, if you need it, you can simply access it, by going to My Data. Anyway, let's pretend that this is the way the data is given to us for a different kind of problem. Then I'm going to go ahead and copy paste it again. And let me just simply go and open up a blank StatCrunch worksheet. I'm going to copy paste. And we don't really want the data like this because, again, we want the data to be in columns. Now, you can actually leave it like this. Let's say you were just trying to find the summary statistics for hours worked. Then you can simply go to Stats, Summary Stats, and then you select Rows. And you're going to tell it what columns you're interested in. And this gets kind of tricky because it's actually all columns. So notice how 10 is in var2, 9 is in var3, and my data, the last entry, is in var12. So you actually select all of these columns. You see that? So we're going from var2 all the way to var12. This is not very convenient. So, I mean, it's doable, but it's up to you how you want to do this. And so let's see. It says that there's 11 data points. Here are the summary statistics for row 1. Notice that it tried to do the same thing for row 2 because there were 2 entries, but you see this NaN, which means it's not a number. And that makes sense because if we observe row 2 right here, row 2 has no numbers. Row 2 has Sam, Alicia, Pat, Cam, and so on. So it's got names, not numbers. So there's no way that StatCrunch can compute the mean or average. Neither can it compute the median. Okay, so that makes sense. Now, does it make sense that there are 11 data points in row 1? Well, it should, because we're starting at var2 and we're ending at was it 11? var12. So we subtract 1. So there's 12 columns here. One of the columns was for this one right here, hours worked. So yes, there are actually 11 entries in here. So this works. I don't recommend you do this. Let me show you how I would do this. So let's say I paste my data in there and I know I want this as columns. Remember, we always want this as columns. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to data and I'm going to press arrange. And then I'm going to go ahead and select transpose. So transpose just means to switch rows to columns and columns to rows. That's exactly what we want. So I'm going to select transpose, and then I'm going to select all of the columns. Don't even really worry about this. Just say select all of the columns and press compute. Now, what I want to do is I want to actually see this. And because there's already a lot of columns in there, I'm going to select open in a new data table. So if I select that, notice what has happened. We still get this label, which says this used to be var2, this used to be var3, and so on. But now we get to see the column of hours worked. And notice it goes 10, 9, 11, 8, and it's arranged how we expect it to in a data frame. The volunteer right here, same thing with names. It's a little bit easier to understand. So now when I go to stats, summary stats, I will select columns. Remember, that's the most common. So then we're just simply going to select hours worked, hit enter, and we get the same summary statistics that we did the first time. But notice how much cleaner it is to have your data in columns, because that's really the most common way that you're going to be given the data. All right, that summarizes it for us. So notice if I was interested in min, Q1, and so forth for this data, it's very easy for me to do that once I have my data here as columns. Okay, so unfortunately, we will need to copy paste this. Sometimes it's going to be easy, like for this example. I just copy paste it, and I'm already going to obtain a column out of this. So if you already know you can get a column, just simply go to the top of the column, hit paste, and there you go. You've got your data in StatCrunch ready to compute some statistics. All right, so final preview of this. Let's go ahead and try this one more time. Let's see if we remember. So do this along with me. I'm going to go ahead and copy paste all of this data set. It's 117 data points. I'm going to copy paste it, and I'm simply going to paste it into a blank spreadsheet right away. So this is going to be very common for us. So again, then I'm going to go to data, and where it says arrange, we're going to stack. So that means just combine these into a single column. So one column on top of the other. Not combine, not slice, not split. We want to use stack. Select stack and select all of the columns. If you've done this correctly, just go into a blank sheet. It's going to be all columns. Now, I don't want this to get messy, so I'm simply going to open it in a new data table. Press enter, and just like that, we've got var2 containing all of our data points. So I can scroll down and confirm that, yes, there are in fact 117 data points in my data set. All right, please rewatch this video if you need to see something again, and try it along with me in a new homework assignment that will open up. If you have any questions, please remember to rewatch the video first. And then if you really can't figure anything out or are having some kind of strange problems, don't hesitate to reach out. It's best to maybe attend office hours in person if you are encountering issues with using StatCrunch. The other alternative is to book a meeting just so that we can do this. All right, have fun and best of luck.